What is up, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny weapon review. In this video, we're going to take a look at a weapon that has quickly become one of my favorite exotics in the Taken King DLC, and that is the Warlock exclusive exotic scout rifle, the Tlaloc. Or Tlaloc, or Tlaloc, or however you want to pronounce this, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that it's named after the Aztec god of thunder and rain, which is kind of fitting. And very fitting of the Warlock subclass that was introduced in TTK. So here's the basic skills. It starts with Grenadier. Now a lot of people overlook this skill. Personally, I'm a huge fan of it, especially on this weapon, because I'm going to be using Transcendence usually on my Warlock, but this frees me up to start getting more creative with my grenades since I'm holding on to my super. It also comes with Eye of the Storm, which makes it so that the weapon is more accurate when your health is low. Now, Bungie words things weirdly when it comes to skills and perks. More accurate sometimes means more aim assist, so I'd like to test this out a little bit more and see what exactly it affects. In the middle tree you have hand-loaded, armor-piercing rounds, and injection mold. Now, I don't recommend going with hand-loaded because this is a scout rifle. You don't really need additional range. AP rounds are kind of worthless in PvP. The obvious choice here is injection mold because it's going to up your weapon's handling and response time at the expense of a little bit of range. But the big thing is that it's going to give you less recoil, and that's what you really want to start stacking on this weapon, because the final skill, Overflow, makes it so that the weapon has better handling and lower recoil and a higher rate of fire, which is the kicker, when your super is full. So you want as little recoil as possible so that when you're popping off these shots really quickly with this gun, you can land those shots. That's also kind of important. You can't just spam the trigger, you want to be accurate too. So injection mold coupled with the overflow skill is going to make it so this scout rifle has very little recoil. So it's very easy to use when your super is active. Now let's start talking about the base stats of the weapon. It's a scout rifle that does 41 to the body, 61 to the head, potentially 63 to the head, depending on what ballistic option you choose. I go with the standard one. I don't find that 2 additional damage is really going to make that much of a difference at the expense of recoil reduction. I would rather have lower recoil and do 2 less damage to the head, because that's not really all that important to me. Not nearly as important as weapon stability and weapon control and handling. So that's just kind of where I fall, but you can choose the ballistic option that fits your playstyle best. So now 41 to the body, 61 to the head, that doesn't change when overflow is active, and that's a big deal. A lot of people were speculating before we actually got our hands on this gun. They're speculating that when overflow goes active that it's going to drop the damage of the weapon, kind of turn it into a completely different archetype of scout rifle, and that's just not the case. It starts out, when your super is not active, it starts out as a scout rifle that fits in with the class of scouts like the Vision of Confluence. So if you've played extensively with the VOC, then this scout rifle is going to feel pretty familiar to you when it's just vanilla. It is, not going to lie, it is just pretty typical. There's nothing extraordinary about it whatsoever before your super is active. It's just a standard scout rifle. Does decent damage, has a decent rate of fire, has decently low recoil. There's nothing that's really good about it. But once your super gets active and that overflow starts proccing, this turns into a monster. You're going to pull it out faster, you're going to ADS faster, you're going to shoot excessively faster, and all these things like Grenadier, Eye of the Storm, and Overflow work together to make this a sort of a weapon that pulls through in clutch moments. And you're going to see that a little bit in this video, where in a later clip there's actually a point where I take a guy off of a salvage relic, and I start moving towards the relic thinking that that was it, that there was only one guy there. But there was another one hiding and crouching. He was off the radar, and when I started moving towards the relic, he caught me mid-sprint, and I was able to pull up my sights quickly and pop off a couple of headshots quickly because of the overflow perk, and it actually saved my life. I had barely any health left, but I was able to come out on top in that engagement, and that was a game that we only won by 50 points, so that could have been a death that would have cost us the game in that particular match. So it really is a clutch weapon, and there are just so many times that this weapon has come through for me in tight sort of engagements where maybe I was caught off guard, maybe someone flanked me, or potentially I didn't see someone. And so that's really where this weapon shines. And so I'm thinking personally that I'm gonna want to experiment with using this weapon in Trials. I think in a couple of weeks when Trials hits, I think that this may potentially be my go-to weapon for Trials if nothing changes in between now and then. I really like it that much. And one of the things that you guys have heard me sort of complain about a little bit is the lack of a Mida multi-tool in Year 2, because I'm such a huge fan of that gun. And this weapon, it's similar in the sense that when Overflow is active, it does turn into the Mida multi-tool archetype of Scout. The only downside is that, well, positives first. Positives is that it does more damage than the Mida. Not much, but it does. It does more damage than the Mida, so that's a positive. That's one thing it has going for it. But on the downside, even though it turns into the same archetype of sniper, or sorry, not sniper rifle. This isn't a sniper, it's a Scout. Although it turns into the same archetype of Scout, the only downside is that it doesn't buff your mobility, and your super has to be active. So Mida always buffs your mobility, and Mida, the mobility perks are always active. It doesn't require your super to be active. So those are the only downsides to it. It's a rather unextraordinary Scout rifle before your super is active. But once your super's up, I found myself not using my super like at all. I always have preferred getting gun kills to super kills. It's just super kills, they're supers. They take a lot less skill. I'm not going to say there's no skill in getting a super kill, but supers are designed to be extremely powerful. So if I can get a weapon kill over a super kill, then I will almost always go for the weapon kill first. And that meant that I started to get a little bit more picky about how I use my super. I was using it maybe just once in a match, like you see here, only just to deny heavy ammo. It wasn't so that I could rack up a huge multi-kill. It was just for the sake of denying heavy ammo so that I could keep going against special and primary weapons in my gunfights. I don't like having to take down opponents with heavy ammo. It can be a real downer. And you guys, you watch my videos, you know I'm just, in general, I'm not a fan of heavy ammo in the Crucible. It's not something that I particularly enjoy in competitive gameplay, but that's just my opinion. And that's not one of the things that I'm hugely against, the presence of heavy ammo, but just moderately against. I think especially in Trials of Osiris and in Skirmish, when the presence of heavy ammo plays such a huge role and can potentially change the outcome of a match just because one team gets heavy control on the first heavy spawn, and they can potentially have heavy ammo for the rest of the match. That to me, I strongly dislike. I think in 6v6, that's okay to have heavy ammo. I might take it down to just one heavy ammo spawn per match. But for my taste in 3v3 playlists, I don't think it belongs there whatsoever. That's just my opinion. Anyways, back to the Tlaloc. I'm coupling it with the Raid Sniper Rifle in my current loadout. I really like how these two work together, mainly because with the Raid Sniper, the scope is just so unobstructive that I can see so much. So if I snap in and I get a quick headshot, but I can still see on the peripherals that another opponent is approaching me, then I can just switch really quickly to the Tlaloc because of that response time and finish off the other opponent. Makes for some good multi-kills. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Let me know if you guys have the Tlaloc, if you're enjoying it. Just note that this is only usable to a Warlock. Can't use it on any other class, so that's a bit of a bummer. But at the same time, kind of cool to have an exclusive weapon. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and thanks for stopping by, guys.